Today we're taking a break from our normal Manosphere Red Pill content where we're bashing our favorite people like Myron, Fresh, Black Guru, and other losers that are all consisted of the Red Pill Avengers. So we're not going to talk about that today. Today we're taking a break and we're going to talk about Snow White instead. That's right. There was a big controversy about a year and a half ago when it came to Snow White releasing because, you know, Disney, it just loves releasing movies that nobody wants to see or go watch. Again! They just have to go take the kids so they can have something to do that afternoon, because who was asking for a Snow White remake? I don't know who was clamoring for this one. I really don't. And the thing that upsets me is like they remake so many movies. Like, who wanted a Mufasa prequel to Lion King? Nobody cared about that. Nobody wants to hear about Mufasa's story because we know how it ends, in tragedy, pain, a knife through the chest for all those children who were traumatized by watching The Lion King. Though it was a great movie and love it to death and we're watching it a million times, but yeah, that was hurtful. That was something that was necessary for us as kids, but it was painful to watch. Now I fear that they're going to remake Homeward Bound, and instead of using real dogs or something like that, they're going to throw some AI animals up in there and it's going to be looking like some bullshit, and I'm going to be really upset. Even though I really wouldn't care, because I don't know who they're really doing this for, because the only people that they're making this audience for are the people that grew up in the 90s, and dang it, it is 2025 now, and I think we're well past that. Like, we got to move past some of the nostalgia. Some of us got to wake up out of the fever dream and realize, hey, yo, it is time to leave it in the past. We don't need these remakes. Now, a lot of people were upset about this whole Snow White remake situation because in this remake, they changed a whole bunch of stuff. And I get when they change a lot of the source material, make it a lot different than what they were liking or beforehand. Sort of like with Ariel, with the whole Little Mermaid situation where everybody was all pissed because Little Mermaid was black now. God forbid, Little Mermaid turned out to be a black girl now. And so I guess all the kids now just can't watch the movie or they're traumatized. Like, nobody gives a crap what color the characters were when you were children. I did not care. The majority of the movies that I was watching had white characters. I would have liked some representation, but it wasn't the end all be all. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same for the children now. I don't think they're really going to care, but guess when they go to class, they're going to see all these different representations of people. So they're going to be like, well, I guess it's sort of like that. Well, anyway, not to go on that too big of a tangent, but this movie was a problem because Snow White wasn't white. She was like Spanish. She's Rachel Zegler, who was not the whitest person. And the biggest thing with Snow White is that she was white as snow. So the fact that they needed to make sure that she looked all coked out was very important to most of these Snow White fans. So they were crashing out, getting really upset at the fact that Rachel had a whole bunch of cringe interviews and a whole bunch of public appearances talking about this isn't the same old Snow White where the prince creepily, snuck over the castle. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And, bang Snow White. And it got to that point. So people were upset about her take on that. And my thing was, I was upset about the dwarves. They effed up the dwarves. They screwed up the dwarves. Like, look at these people. Like, do these look like dwarves to you? They said they were going to turn them into 7 magical creatures, which sounds like just BS. What is that? Why would you make this change? This change doesn't make a lick of sense. It's Snow White and the 7 dwarves, not Snow White and the 7 magical creatures. Like, I don't really get that. And they look terrible. It looks like they got their suits. I mean, I don't know who made these costumes, but they're ugly. They're absolutely hideous, and you got one person who could actually represent a dwarf. What happened to the rest of them? Now you just got random dudes walking around in weird costumes looking funny. And so now you done effed that up, and now it looks stupid altogether. Now people are upset, and I almost get their point. But anyway, we're going to talk about this trailer and go through, how they redid this situation, because it was just like Sonic. You know how they showed up with the original Sonic looking like some rabid, raccoon that was blue and white that would be scavenging through your trash instead of saving the universe? That version of Sonic got changed because people had enough. Like, yo, y'all can't bring that out there. I don't know what that is, but that's not my Sonic. That ain't it. Because that dude is ugly. Like, you know how people got really upset about the whole DEI situation where it's like, oh, I would never want some like just small woman in there trying to save my life with the fire. Because I mean, am I going to be asking questions about who's representing me when they come in to save my life? Well, in this situation, if this Sonic showed up to save my life, I would have questions. I would have questions. Because I'm like, no, homie, I think you're going to rob me. You don't look like you're going to save anything. Now, the new Sonic that they made, he looks like a hero. He looks like he has your best interest in mind. He looks like a strong person that's going to be able to save you from that fire. Instead of just somebody that's in there that's like, you know what? I don't know what this is, but obviously whoever put this whole operation together wasn't trying. So they redid that, and they redid this Snow White. So let's go ahead and watch this trailer. But as always, I got to teach you. So I'm going to give you a breakdown for Snow White for dummies. You know, Snow White from the black kid's point of view when I was younger. Well, anyway, so you have Snow White. She's living in this castle. All sorts of rooms, all sorts of bathrooms, plenty of space. Nobody else living there apparently but Snow White. And it's like, you know what? Why are you here alone? You know, like, what's going on? I mean, if you're this pretty woman, you're just living off over here by yourself. What happened to all your relatives, your friends? Did they all die? Is this like Beauty and the Beast? Everybody turned into like furniture and shit? Like, what's happening? I'm really confused why you're in this house all alone. Well, anyway, she goes out to the fountain one day and decides she's singing because she's probably lonely as crap out there in the middle of nowhere. And then all of a sudden this prince, I guess, who was lonely as well, is like, dang, what is that? You know, I smell vagina. I mean, so he's like excited. He hears a woman off in the distance and he decides he's going to pop his head over the fence one day and is like, hey, what's up? Ends up serenading her to the point where she's like, oh my God, melts all the way, completely coughs up the paintings, gets carried inside, gets piped down, taken to Pound Town by the prince, and then he just leaves. The original Smash and Dash took place back in like 1930 and we all witnessed it in animation. Didn't even realize it. Prince gone. Don't see that guy again until the end. I mean, he built up for a long time. Like, this dude walked around, you know, hey, said what's up, probably sang back to her, you know, serenaded, like I said, and then dashed. Snow White decides she's going to walk out and decides she's going to go off and have a nice walk in the trippy Alice in Wonderland woods. And they start tripping her out. She gets all scared and she decides she's going to run up out of the woods. Can't find her way back home. And then she just stumbles upon this cabin out in the middle of nowhere. Nice, beautiful looking place. Just a little dusty inside, needs to be cleaned up. So I guess she just decides to never go back home and trespass into this house and kick in the door and start cleaning. Then she realizes, like, oh my God, there's little beds for little people. And she's like, well, I was going to just crash out here, but I mean, I don't know if I can or not now. So these people decide they're going to show up back home after a long day's work. And they're like, hey, who are you? Then they get excited because they see a woman and they probably ain't seen a woman their entire lives. So they get, you know, start to foaming out the mouths. And these guys are crazy. Like, the dwarves are something else. They're quite something. And, you know, I mean, interesting characters to say the least. You got Dumpy, Gropey, I mean, you know, Happy, Sleepy, Grimy, Sleazy, and Pussy. I don't know all their names, but anyway, you put them together and you got 7 dwarves. Magical creatures. Well, they spend a lot of time bonding with Snow White over time, get to loving her. They work together. She's cleaning the house. She's doing all the traditional trad wife things that a whole bunch of people wish that their wives and females would do nowadays. Well, that's over. But anyway, that's what was going on with Snow White until one day the Wicked Witch or whatever decided that she was watching her through the magical mirror on the wall. And it was magic mirror on the wall, not mirror. And either way, she pulled it up, poisoned an apple, found Snow White as this old woman because she had magic, got her to eat the apple. Snow White dies. R.I.P. She died. The evil witch wins. So guess what? Dwarves come back home one day after a long day's work, tired, sweaty, you know, put your tools and shit on the ground, hang up your jackets, and then they turn on the light and they realize, oh shit, oh my God, who did this? And these dudes are pissed and they are ready to ride for some Snow White. And these dwarves immediately start stomping off into the woods. It was stormy outside. It was wet. It was muddy. They didn't care. And they got ready to go out there and they got some revenge. And they came back and they got their get backings and they tore up the witch. They won. They went out there and beat that ass. They straight Sharkeisha the witch. And so once that was over, they came back home and they mourned. Then they decided to put Snow White's body in a glass tomb where somehow she didn't turn into absolute mush over time, which is odd to me. Well, anyway, the prince, happens to show up out of nowhere. You know, great timing now, guy. You know, your girl died, right? Well, she's dead. He decides he's going to kiss this corpse and then she resuscitates. And I'm kind of curious as like what happens to the rest of that time that just vanished since she died. But anyway, there's no need for that. Either way, she lives happily ever after.
This was my father's kingdom, a place of fairness, but the queen changed everything.
Take him away!
Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
Okay, so as far as I can see so far, it still looks like Snow White, even though this obviously never happened in the original. She never met with the witch. That this whole meeting was not something that took place. So I'm already concerned that this movie is going to last at least 50 minutes too long. The original movie was only like 80 minutes. This is going to probably last somewhere between 2.5 hours and probably about an hour and a half of it will be absolutely worthless.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
See, magic mirror on the wall. They were faithful.
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty. But a lovely maiden I now behold.
I look at you, and I just want to be the fairest of them all.
The queen is evil. You must
Oh my God, they got a black man. This is already, this is trash.
flee into the woods.
My parents always said this forest was a magical place. Hello? Is there anybody here?
Okay, so they've officially cut out 7 jobs and they replaced it with CGI. And that's really unfortunate. They said since we can't find enough, small people, little men, dwarfs, midgets, whatever, since we can't find them, we just ain't gonna hire anybody. That's just a shame.
It's a human.
What did you think I was?
But okay, I guess they don't look terrible. They don't look awful. But it's just like, man, when you had to just scrap stuff and start putting in more CGI, because this now just reeks of a movie that was just Rachel Zegler in front of his green screen like I am right now.
Nothing, Ghost.
You'll be safe from the Queen here.
The Queen stole everything from all of us.
I'm gonna need your help.
It's time to restore our kingdom.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way, there comes a miracle.
Find Snow White.
Me, I close my eyes and see the girl I meant to
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying.
I'm sorry, my dear. Did I frighten you?
Looks fine. Doesn't look like it's going to be anything great, spectacular. Just looks like it's going to be another Disney cash grab from a whole bunch of parents and a whole bunch of children that just need a movie to watch. Doesn't seem like it's going to be terrible. You got to see the prince. You got to see the first original deadbeat boyfriend. So you did get to see who's going to get to be casted as him. And like I said, you saw a black guy in the trailer. So, there's a little bit of diversity here. You got like a little Latino, black, white man. They're trying to mix in a little bit of everything because white man got outlawed a while back. And, now this is a chance for a comeback. At least he's going to get to have his role. I wonder if we're going to get to see him like carry her into the castle. But we'll see. I don't know how I really feel about it. Obviously, once again, this movie is going to last way too long. I already know it's going to last way too long. If it's 2 hours, that's absurd. And that's the problem with these Disney remakes. The original movies, they were great because they were quick, to the point, simple, but you had deeper understood messages, subliminal messages. And then thus, we could pick up the other scraps later. Great music, great scores, and, thus it was a great time for a very short period of time. But these are all drug out way too long, and nobody wants to watch a movie this long. Especially over stuff that, like, the only audience that you're really catering to is an audience that's way too old to be watching this shit on the regular anyway. Like, come on now. Well, anyway, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed this one today. Got a couple more of these coming out. Got a couple more. I want to do some more stuff when it comes to movies and some more media. If you like these types of videos, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, be back with you soon.